Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all the praise, the glory, and the honor unto Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Kakwadash. I also want to give double honor to all the elders and the Akims out here laboring in His word and truth and in sincerity, doing everything to make a calling and election sure. Shalom to y'all and y'all families. I also want to say shalom to all the Akim and the Akwatim out there that's receiving, learning, believing, and keeping the faith. Shalom to y'all and y'all families as well. I'm the brother Malak. I'm a Wont, back in the spirit once again, here to feed the lambs and the sheep of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah. And Lord will, this lesson edifying for the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel only. In today's lesson, we're going into how emotional crybaby Jakes won't make it, man. And the inspiration and spark, for this lesson came from this Randy Moss clip that I saw. Randy Moss, the former NFL football player, the Hall of Fame, former NFL player, now host of, Sunday NFL Countdown and a variety of these these ESPN football telecasts. And unfortunately, he had a moment. He had an emotional moment, a very sad emotional moment on Sunday NFL Countdown in regards to this John Gruden situation. Unfortunately for him, I'll say, in regards to this John Gruden situation, basically, the whole John Gruden thing, basically was making some jokes and talking shit about some niggas' lips, and niggas use this as an opportunity to once again flex their yearning for the white man's validation. And it's honestly extremely sad that in 2021, as we see the events that are transpiring in the world, this is still at the forefront of a lot of niggas' minds. It's honestly sad, and niggas like that ain't gonna make it, man. You don't have the right mentality fit for the kingdom of heaven. You don't have the right mentality fit to be a warrior for Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah. You don't have the right mentality to properly judge the nations, put them in order, man. You got too much love for your enemies, man. And you yearn for their validation more than you yearn for the validation of the Most High and His Son. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the video.
That's to provide for our families, and Teddy hit it right on the head of just putting your head down and going playing football. I speak about the game of football. I fell in love with the game of football, Sam, at 6 years old. And I get emotional talking about it because of situations like this. My civil rights were kind of messed with in high school over the color of my skin. And now being able to play 14 years in the National Football League, to have something like this of a leader. We talk about leadership. We give guys these big contracts because they want to be able to lead 70 men, coaches, equipment staff, and managers to the number one goal, and that's to win the championship. And for us to be moving back and not forward in 21st century, like I said, man, National Football League, this hurts me. The clock is ticking, man. I'm sorry.
No. I can play for you.
This is so sad, man. This is so sad that you still got black men in 2021 who grown-ass black men, grown-ass so-called black men in 2021, who are still on TV crying over the goddamn white man. You had the Van Jones situation, which I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real, man. I don't like saying this, especially knowing our heritage, knowing where we come from, knowing the royalty and the chosen, people that we are, knowing that we are the original kings and priests of the earth, and we are returning back to that stature, we are returning back to that level when the kingdom of heaven is implemented on the earth very soon. But I'm gonna be real. When that Van Jones situation happened, I was watching that shit, I said to myself, I'm ashamed to be a black man. I said today, in this very moment, I'm ashamed to be a so-called black man. Not for myself and not for, the brothers who got the right understanding. And like I said, not for the representation of what we are and our history, our culture, and certainly not for, of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah at all. But in that very moment, for what I knew that represented in terms of how a lot of so-called black men were thinking in regards to that election and Biden being elected, thinking that was some sort of saving figure, and how a lot of black men who may not have cried, but they felt those same emotions inside them that he expressed on national TV over the influx of tears that he had over Joe Biden getting elected. I felt ashamed to be a so-called black man. And you know what? This is not as bad as that situation, but it's similar shit like this, man. You crying over some goddamn emails that, a white man said about someone else. You're crying over a joke that the white man is making. You should already, like, honestly, man, we got to get over this whole, white people got to love us, white people got to care for us. But you got to assume everywhere you go that white people don't fuck with you, man. You got to assume everywhere you go that Edomites ain't fucking with you. I assume that everywhere I go, I assume that Edomites ain't fucking with me. And I don't give a shit if they fuck with me or not. It don't fucking matter, man. Because when you transcend the slave programming, and when you transcend the programming of, only feeling valuable, only feeling worthy when the white man deems you as acceptable, and the white man, when you're cool, when the white man's cool with you, when he's not poking fun at you or making jokes, or he's not, roasting you or whatever, which that's all this shit was. When you get to that point, as a man, when you transcend that via the wisdom of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, you stop giving a fuck about how the white man views you. Because you know and you understand intrinsically, via the spirit, we're at a much higher level than you, and we're gonna rule you in the kingdom to come. But see, when you don't have the wisdom of the Most High to balance the slave programming and the narratives that are given to you in this world, and the worldly representation of what white and black represent, which is the real danger in those titles, then you don't when you don't have that, then all you can do is submit to the corporate paradigm. All you can do is submit to the societal role that you're placed in, and then you start to having outbursts like this, because you think that the white man is supposed to care for you, you think he's supposed to love you, and you feel some type of way when he shows you how he really feels about you. You feel some type of way, and you feel not accepted. You don't feel as whole. You don't feel like a real man. So you make an emotional outburst like a bitch on national TV, crying and shit, because you want to be accepted, by this man. And ultimately, that's where your source of being validated, comes from. But let's go ahead and get into some precepts. This is honestly extremely sad that niggas are still on this type of shit. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. So effeminate men are not going to inherit the kingdom of Yahweh, man. You're not going to make the kingdom, because what are you going to be useful for in the kingdom, man? You don't have the right mentality for where the Most High is going to place his men in the kingdom. In the kingdom, we're going to be set on high, man. We're going to rule these nations, man, with a rod of iron, man. Let's go to Revelation, the 2nd chapter, because as we can see in 1 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, that's an unrighteous spirit to be in as a man, to be a damn effeminate man. Now, I'm not saying you can't have emotional. You can't be I'm not saying that you can't express your emotions as men. As men, we need outlets to express our emotions as well. We have feelings, we have emotions. There's nothing wrong with that. But to go on sit here, but it's about what it represents. If you have you may have a hard day. You may have had a long week. You may sometimes be down in the spirit, man. You're dealing with Babylon the Great. This place is vexing you. Maybe your family's, having issues, or your woman, or dealing with some shit at work, or some shit, just happened in the world. Maybe your car went out, whatever it may be, man. And you have an emotional outburst. It happens. But as men, we have to try to channel that as much as we possibly can. Acknowledge ourselves, see where we're in the wrong, self-assess, and try to get better. And not look to other people, especially our enemies, to validate us and how we're supposed to, in our strength and our resolve as men. But let's go to Revelation, the 2nd chapter, and let's go down to the 26th verse. And he that overcometh shall keepeth my works until the end, and to him will I give power over the nations. So we're going to get power over the nations in the kingdom, man. So that's why an effeminate man is not fit for the kingdom, because you don't have the mindset to embrace power, rulership, dominion, having slaves, putting them in captivity, killing them if you got to. You don't have the mindset for doing that, man. The Most High said that we're going to be his battle axe and weapon of war. When you have an effeminate mentality as a man, and you can't stomach the fact that Edom may say some shit that you deem to be quote unquote racist about you, you don't have the stomach to digest that, and you can't view that for what it is, compartmentalize the information and say, you know what, It's okay if he feels that particular way about me. Who gives a fuck? You don't have the mindset to just shrug that shit off and keep it moving. Focus on the scriptures, you know, and ultimately view the Most High as your validation and not him, to where you only care to the point where how the Most High views you, but you could care less how Esau Edom views you. When you get to that mentality, when you get to that mindset, then you could be used for the kingdom of heaven to rule the nations. But if you're lacking in those areas, hey, you can't be valuable to the Most High in the kingdom of heaven, man. It's Revelation 2:26. He that overcometh and keepeth my works to the end, to him will I give power over the nations. He shall rule them with a rod of iron, and as the vessels of potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. So Yahweh shall receive that blessing first and foremost. Let's go to Psalm the 2nd chapter. But us being joint heirs with Yahweh Shah, actually let's go to Romans 8:17 real quick. It's Romans chapter 8 and verse 17. And if children, then heirs, heirs of Yahweh, and joint heirs with Mashiach. And I'll go up to verse 14. For as many are led by the Spirit of the Most High, they are the sons of the Most High. This is going into the sons of the Most High, man. The sons of the Most High, ultimately, the elect of the nation of Israel, are going to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shah. Verse 17. If children and heirs, heirs of the Most High, and then joint heirs with Mashiach. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So we suffering with Yahweh Shah. We suffering in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? We going through the daily ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? We focus on the Most High in a society that completely vexes our spirit. We've got to deal with a bunch of bullshit from a variety of different factors, you know. But we're going to be glorified just how Yahweh Shah is going to be glorified, Lord will, that we make it. But let's go to Psalm the 2nd chapter and just get a quick verse from that. This is Psalm chapter 2 and verse 8. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. And thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. So it's spoken that that's going to be given to the Son first and foremost. That's going to be given to Yahweh Shah first and foremost, and then we're going to take part in it, being joint heirs. And that's going to come through the form of war, violence, destruction. That's how it's going to come, man. It's going to come through harsh tribulation. It's going to come through harsh measures. It's not when you go take over a nation, especially a nation as powerful, as mighty as Esau Edom in this particular time period. When you go, it's got to be now. It's going to be easy work for us, you know. It's going to be easy work, Lord, whether we get to that level. It's going to be easy work for us, but it's still going to be fought through mass travail. It's still going to be fought through you know, harsh measures, man. You know what the world would deem harsh. You know, nuclear war, destruction. You know, not having respect to persons, whether that be women, children, men, whoever it may be. Whoever's in your way that's an enemy of the Most High, Yahweh Shah instruct for you to take out, that's who you got to take out. And you got to have the mentality, you got to have the strength, you got to have the resolve to do that, man. That's why an effeminate man can't be used for the kingdom. An effeminate man can't make it. Because you can't be a battle axe or weapon of war, man. You know? You can't, you don't have no might, man. You know? You don't have no might. So, you know, like it says in Revelation chapter 2, you know, it's going to be, you know, given unto the Son, man. You know, so, you know, but it's also going to be given unto us, because if we endure to the end, if we overcome, you know, the travail, you know, we overcome the condition of the battle, we fight through, and we endure to the end, then we're going to be able to rule these nations as well. We're going to have the everlasting dominion over them, you know, and the top nation that we're going to rule is Esau Edom, you know. So a lot of brothers who have this feeling inside you where you're always yearning for the approval and the validation of the white man, to the point where you feel so emotional and so down about yourself, to the point where you're crying if he says something bad, if he says something that you deem bad or racist about you. That's not a mindset fit to rule the nations. That's not a mindset fit to govern and to execute the laws of the Most High, as harsh as you may deem them to be, on someone who's going against it, man. And binding them up in chains and put them in hardcore subjection and slavery, man. You don't have the mindset to take on that task. So you can't be used for the kingdom, man. Let's go to Isaiah the 11th chapter. Isaiah 11:1, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Of course, this is talking about Yahweh Shah. And the root and the spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. So Yahweh Shah was given all of that spirit, man. And we walking in that spirit today, being on the Most High, Yahweh Shah calling us out the world, us being primed to be joint heirs, us being primed to be those judges, to be those rulers, to be those gods. We're partaking in that spiritually today. So of course this is going into Yahweh Shah first and foremost, but it's going into us via the spirit, man. And an effeminate man can't have this spirit, man. You can't be that's double-minded. The Most High is not the author of confusion. You can't be a effeminate man and have true sound wisdom. We're gonna go into that later on. You can't be a effeminate man and have true understanding. You can't be a effeminate man have the spirit of counsel and might. Because anything that hurts your feelings, anything that that makes you feel bad about yourself because of who you actually idolize, who you view as your God, that has the potential to take you off course, man. And ultimately not complete the mission, which is why those type of men ain't gonna make it, man. The Most High gonna kill a lot of these niggas who have that mentality, have that mindset. He's not gonna deem you worthy for the kingdom of heaven, man. In the kingdom, man, we gonna put these people in chains, man. In the kingdom, we gonna rule over these people, man. It ain't gonna be no place where we all singing Kumbaya, holding hands, and just worshiping the Father as one. Now, as a nation, that will be us. You know what I'm saying? But there will be there's even levels in that though. But there's gonna be a big separation between us and the rest of these nations, man. And as a man, you should want that. You should want to be God's chosen. You should want to be, the elect. You should want to be the one that the Most High is working with specifically, the one that He wants to separate from all these other people, man. You should want that. But as an effeminate man, you ain't gonna be able to partake in that, man. You know what I'm saying? As an effeminate man, you don't have the mindset to stomach that, because that calls for you to have the spirit of might. That calls for you to worship the Most High above all and not view another man as your God, which these people in this world, brothers in this world who get effeminate and get overly emotional about what Esau says about you, it just shows that you put him on a higher level than the Most High. That's what that shows. But continuing on, and shall make him a quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. He shall judge after the spirit of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. He shall not judge after the sight of his eyes. Of course, Yahweh Shah is all about righteous judgment. But with the righteousness shall he judge the poor and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. He shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. Now, what is that talking about? Let's go to 2 Ezra, the 13th chapter. This is 2 Ezra chapter 13. Let's go to verse 8. And this is going into, that war, man, that war in heaven, which is, ultimately going to be, shown on the earth as well. This is 2 Ezra 13 and 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And those that gathered to subdue him, that's talking about the nobility of Esau Edom gathering to subdue Yahweh Shah, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest. So going back to Isaiah, the 11th chapter, I'm just going to flip to that real quick. Going back to Isaiah, the 11th chapter, and the 4th verse, where it says, and he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. That's going into that's symbolically representing the chariots, man. Yahweh Shah is not actually going to breathe fire out of his mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's symbolically talking about the fire that's going to come from his chariots. The lips, that's talking about the chariots, man. That's talking about the now, of course, it does mean with words as well. When he came on the earth, his only mission was for the nation of Israel, and he slayed even the wicked of our people with his words, the Pharisees and whatnot. But ultimately, when he comes back, makes a second return, it's culminating in that war that's going to start in heaven, but it's going to be shown on the earth as well. When Yahushua comes back and smites all the wicked, raises us up, and we start smiting the wicked as well. But if you are an effeminate man, you can't partake in this, man. Which means you don't really have the true spirit of might, which means you can't be a joint heir with Yahushua. Because this power is only going to be given to the joint heirs of Yahushua. This power, this might is only going to be given to those who were strong enough to endure these last days. Come on, man, let's be real, man. If you sitting here and you getting overly emotional about what Esau Edom says about you, you getting overly emotional about him talking about some damn lips, how are you going to survive these last days? How are you going to survive when, you got to choose between taking the chip and going to the store to get food for you and your family? How you gonna survive? How you gonna survive if you overly emotional about what Esau Edom says when you got a situation in the last days where all hell is breaking loose, chaos is going everywhere, man. We got civil wars ensuing, man. Man, you gonna be running like a bitch, man. You ain't gonna have no might. You gonna have no strength, no resolve about you, man. You ain't gonna have that, man. You're not gonna have the strength to have faith and call on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. That's a very strong thing to do. To have faith in someone that you can't see and call on him for your protection and your salvation. That takes a lot of strength, man. You're gonna eventually fold up like a bitch, be in so much fear that you run and go take that chip. That's what's gonna happen to you, and then you can't partake in the glory that's going to come and the honor that's going to be given to the saints of the Most High when we subdue the nation, because you have a globalist mentality and a globalist mindset. And the Most High ain't dealing with globalism, man. The Most High ain't dealing with let's all sing Kumbaya and the campfire and let's all hold hands, man. The Most High ain't dealing with that spirit, man. The Most High is dealing with the spirit of separation. The Most High is dealing with the spirit of separating the wheat from the tares, man. The Most High is dealing with the spirit of division. Most High is dealing with the spirit of rank and order, man. That's the spirit that the Most High is dealing with. He ain't dealing with, let's hold hands with the white man. He ain't dealing with let's have the white man be a source of validation, man. Let's delve into the white man's liberal globalism. Let's all be one. The Most High ain't dealing with that, man. He ain't dealing with that. And a man who has that spirit, it's ultimately, because the Most High is not dealing with it, it's ultimately going to show the Most High he's not fit for the kingdom. And the Most High ultimately is going to kill you because of that. The Most High is a man of war, not of let's all hold hands. Let's go to Philippians chapter 1 and verse 28. And in nothing terrified by your adversaries, which is to them an evident token of perdition, but unto you salvation, and that of the Most High. But unto you is given in the behalf of Christ, not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for his sake. So we're not supposed to be terrified by our adversaries, man. Who is the main adversary of the Israelites? It's Esau Edom. Coming in the spirit of Satan, the spirit of the adversary, the spirit of deception, the spirit of the serpent. You see everything that's going on in the world. So like everything being executed on the left-hand path is at the behest of these of Esau Edom and the pagan gods that they reverence, man. So why would you want to partake in his system? Why would you want him to be why would you want the splitting image of Satan to be your source of feeling whole as a man? Because ultimately that shows your fear in him. That's why it says nothing terrified by your adversaries. Because who you're terrified by, who you have the most fear for, is who you put on a higher pedestal over you. And the only people that should be that starting first and foremost is the Most High, and then Yahushua. Those are the only people that we should be in fear of. Most High, and then his son. Because they're the son of perdition. They're the enemy. They're the man of sin. And if you're in fear for him, you're ultimately showing that you're in more fear of the wicked than you are the righteous. And you're not ultimately showing you're not fit for the kingdom. Because you don't have the mindset for salvation. The mindset for salvation encompasses strength, might, wisdom, proper understanding, knowledge, resolve, especially in the day of adversity, man. Let's get Proverbs the 24th chapter. This is Proverbs 24 and 10. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. And going back to Philippians 1, if you're in terror of your adversary, man, more than in terror of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, then you're eventually gonna faint in the day of adversity, because through your terror for him, you're gonna submit to his way of living. You know, your fear is a representation of your reverence. You know, it's a representation of who you deem to be a power figure over you, who you deem to be the God of your life, the power of your life. You know, so if you fear this man, his system, his way of living, and ultimately also as well showing that you view that as your source of light and validation through that fear, you're gonna eventually faint. You're gonna eventually fall short, and you're gonna eventually submit yourself to his way of living. I mean, Randy Moss had took the jab because he worked at ESPN. You know, ESPN is a mandatory jab requirement. So the nigga took the jab, the nigga might take the chip, and the nigga gonna be destroyed. And that's a representation of that effeminate mentality of fearing the world and fearing the ruler of the world on the physical realm more than fearing the ultimate, you know, power that instructs it all, man, which is the Most High. You know? That's a very dangerous mentality to be an effeminate man. Effeminacy as a man is gonna have you doing shit that you never thought that you would do, man. You know, out of fear. But man, when you afraid, when you scared, you're liable to do anything, man. And you're liable to capitulate, you know, all your morality, all your logic, all your rationale, because you're living in the spirit of a woman. When you're in the spirit of a woman as a man, you're gonna that's a very dangerous position to be in. Because you lose yourself of all forms of logic and rationale, especially as times get harder and harder and harder, man. You know, you don't have the right logic, you don't have the right reason, the right wisdom and understanding and knowledge to survive, man. You know, and then you're gonna eventually faint and go take whatever, you know, that ultimately, man, go take that chip. That's what it comes down to, man. But let's get 2nd Ezra, the 14th chapter. This is 2nd Ezra 14 and 14. Let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. So in these time periods, man, where we're supposed to be redeeming the time wisely, where the highest is beginning to visit this world, as 2nd Ezra 14 goes into, but we got to be putting away the mortal thoughts, man. We got to be putting away that fear, man. We got to take on the whole armor of faith. You know, we got to put away all the weak nature, all that effeminate nature, man. All that yearning for Esau's validation. That shit got to go in these last days, man. You know, because in your searching and in your yearning for his approval, you know, you're gonna do whatever he tells you to do so that you can get that feeling. You can suffice that feeling inside of you of feeling whole via him, of being satisfied in the fact that your God views you highly, which is what's going on with these effeminate niggas who cry over Esau, man. You're gonna end up taking the mark of the beast. You know, you're gonna end up taking the MOB because you want your God to view you in a bright light. That's why it's so dangerous to be that effeminate state as a man, and ultimately you're not gonna make the kingdom for that, man. Because the Most High can't use you. You know, you don't have the strength to overcome and get the victory, man. You know, because you're not gonna be crying out, you know, to the Lord in that day, man. Let's go to Psalm the 107th chapter. Actually, let's go to Psalm the 34th chapter. Psalm 34 and 17. The righteous cry and the Lord heareth. So the righteous, it's nothing wrong with crying as a man. There's nothing wrong with, the problem is crying over Esau. That's the damn problem, man. There's nothing wrong with crying and having emotional moments as men. It's nothing wrong with that. Every man goes through that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You get times where you're low in the spirit, you may cry out to the Lord in prayer. be dealing with a demon on you, man. You know, you may be dealing with an opposing familiar spirit on you. You crying out to the Lord to get rid of that spirit, to help you overcome. You know, you may be in the peak of the last days, man. You know, where you may just lost everything, man. And you by yourself. You may cry out to the Lord for food. Cry out to the Lord for raiment. Cry out to the Lord, you know, to help you and assist you in your situation. Nothing wrong with that, and the Lord will hear you and will provide. But the problem is crying for the damn devil, man. That's what niggas are doing. They crying over the devil. You know? So you're not crying to the person who can deliver you from the time of trouble. You're crying to the person who's going to bring you into more evil. Let's go to Psalm the 107th chapter. This is Psalm 107 and 17. Fools, because of their transgression and because of their iniquities, are afflicted. The soul abhorreth all manner of meat, and they draw near unto the gates of death. So a fool, because of your and that's a very foolish mindset to be in as a man. You know, you a man. You have logic, reason, and rationale on your side. You have strength, might, resiliency on your side. You know. Your first instinct isn't to go to your emotions and cry out, man, like a woman. You have that on your side, but you neglect that, you know, for emotionalism. You neglect that, you know, for feelings and a globalism spirit and hearkening on to philosophies of this devil, man. You know, that's a very foolish mindset to be in as a man, because you don't see the value in being a man. You don't see the value in being a black man. You don't see the value in being an Israelite. And niggas show that, you know, in regards to, you know, their constant yearning for feeling whole via Esau. You know? So you're eventually going to get afflicted because of that, man. You're going to end up taking that jab. You're going to end up taking that MLB because of that. You know? And when you do that, what are you doing? You're drawing near into the gates of death. You know? And you're showing the Most High over and over again, he can't use you to usher in the kingdom of heaven. He can't use you to usher in the kingdom of heaven, and he can't use you for the everlasting dominion and rulership, man. So you gotta go. You know, because you can't be used for this, man. And you don't see honor in this. Let's go to Psalm 149. Psalm 149. I'm going to start at verse 4. For the Lord taketh pleasure with his people who will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory, and them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise you the Lord. So that's a very honorable thing to do, man. To subdue the heathen, to put them in their right order, to put them in slavery, to have them in subjection. That's a very honorable thing to do, because you're doing it at the behest of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And the Most High is raising you up and priming you via him imparting his wisdom on you right now for that time period. Because that's the process of ushering in the kingdom of heaven. There's rank and there's order in the kingdom. You're getting the same spirit as Yahweh Shah. You get the same spirit. That's why I read it in Isaiah the 11th chapter. That's specifically referring to Yahweh Shah, but it's also referring to us, because Lord will, we're gonna be them joint heirs, man. We're gonna have that same spirit of wisdom, might, judging the heathen, smiting the earth. We're gonna be partaking in the same things, Lord will, as his battle axes and weapons of war, man. As the men who raise up, get those changed bodies and come down and subdue these nations, along with Yahweh Shah and the holy angels. That's a very honorable thing to take part in, man. You're literally ushering in the everlasting society, or assisting in ushering in an everlasting society ruling with righteousness. That's a very honorable practice to take part in, man. But you can't take part in it if you don't view the effects of that as honorable, because you have a globalist mentality. Because that goes into putting them in subjection, viewing them as not viewing them as your equal, and damn sure ain't viewing them as your superior. viewing them as the scum of the earth that they are, and putting them in the damn chains, man. Especially these high-ranking members of Esau, man. Which of course John Gruden is on a very low level compared to like a Rothschild or whatever. But he's still a quote-unquote mighty man in this society, man. Nigga, a football coach, a quote-unquote leader of men, a quote-unquote high-paid celebrity. He will be what this society considers a mighty man. These are gonna be the main people that's gonna be brought up in chains, man. These mighty men. And they're the ones that you idolize. They're the ones that you crying out to, man. The scriptures speak about how when a rich man speaketh, in Sirach, the 13th chapter, basically, when a rich man speaketh, the people look to excuse his words. The people look to look for some light in his words and whatnot, and his mannerisms and all that, not to look at him for who he is, man. Because you're in awe of him, and that's what Jake is in. Jake is in awe of the white man, and not in awe of the Most High and His Son. Showing how you keep His ways, but you neglect our ways, the ways instituted by the Most High. So you don't have the mindset to punish them, to execute vengeance on them, to subdue them, because you're in awe of them. That mindset you can't take that to the kingdom, man. And you can't help usher in the kingdom with that weak bitch made ass mentality, man. And that's exactly why emotional crybaby Jakes, won't make it ultimately. But with that, Lord will, this was edifying. I know it kind of got into it a little bit in this lesson, but it's just an exhortation. Jake, you got to get out of that mentality. You got to get out of that mindset of consistently, diligently, yearning for the approval of this man. Our approval comes from on high. Our approval comes from the Most High and His Son, man. It don't come from none in the flesh. You got to put off that weak nature. You got to stop being damn effeminate, and be a damn man, man. Be strong, man. The scriptures say the glory of a young man is his strength. Be strong, man. Be a warrior for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. So that you can actually be a warrior for him in that day when he raised you up, and you can subdue the nations and actually have, have rulership. Don't you want power, Jake? Don't you want power? Don't you want real dominion? Ain't you tired of being underneath a wicked ass man? Ain't you tired of being subjected to his laws and his ways of rulership? Don't you want to be the driving force of society underneath the Most High and His Son? Don't you want to be in that position? Well, if you do, you got to put off that effeminate nature. You got to stop being damn weak, man. Stop crying for the fucking devil, man. With that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah Bashim, Kakodash. And Lord, Word, this lesson was edifying for the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel only. Stop crying, Jake. Shalom.